Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Purple Elephant YouTube channel. So today, this video is going to be absolutely, at least to me, I think it's funny. So I want to tell everyone about my workplace horror stories because I realized that I go in and I help organizations, I help leaders address the workplace horrors that are going on within their organization. But it just clicked for me that I've never really openly talked about all the workplace horror stories that I have. And I have a lot because I've been working since I was 15 years old. So I figured I was going to do like a series and a segment of different situations and experiences that I had. So let's start with when I was 15 years old, with my very first job. So I got a job at a bank. It's my first job, right? I was already a high achiever from 15 years old, right? Most people, they get their first job at McDonald's or Burger King or a local grocery store. Not me. I'm getting my first job at a bank. Excuse me. It's pollen season. So, first of all, I did not want this job. I want to emphasize how much I did not want this job at all. Not even a little bit. I'm 15 years old. What 15-year-old wants to work? So, how I got the job, I came home from school one day. I am living my best teenage life, mind you. I'm laying in bed every day after school. I'm eating snacks. I'm watching TV. I'm taking a nap. I'm talking on the phone with my friends, having the best time being a teenager, not worrying about responsibilities. So my mom comes into my bedroom wanting to ruin my life that day. And she goes, I got you an interview for a job. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm good. And she goes, it wasn't a question. And I'm like, Mom, are you serious? I'm 15 years old. I don't want to work. What are you talking about? And she goes, look, you like to go to the mall with your friends. You need some responsibility. Me and your dad can't just keep giving you money to go to the mall. And I was like, isn't that what mom stands for? MOM, made of money. She didn't find that funny. So, mind you, I'm already irritated because why are we forcing employment on people who still need permission to go to the bathroom? So I go to this interview very reluctantly. And when I tell you I tried not to get this job, I was sabotaging myself the entire interview. They're asking me questions, and I was basically giving anti-answers. They're like, how are your math skills? I'm like, they're terrible, which is true, by the way. My math skills are actually terrible. I was not lying about that. You don't want me handling anybody's finances. So they're asking me, are you good under pressure? I'm basically like, absolutely not. No, I am not. I am like a tea kettle. Give me pressure and I'm gonna scream. So in my head, I'm thinking, there's no way that they're gonna hire me after all of this. I'm like 15. There's adult people that I'm sure have applied for the job that they could give it to. And basically, I told them I can't do any of the job functions. Well, apparently, I was not bad enough because they hired me on the spot. On the spot. Yes, because, back in the early 2000s, jobs used to do that. You could go to an interview and leave it employed immediately. So there's no background check, no 14 rounds of interviews, no personality assessment, no Zoom panel interview. I mean, Zoom didn't even exist then. Just, you seem alive, welcome aboard. So now I am mad. I am mad. Because now I have an after school job I never wanted in the first place. And I know some people are going to say, well, at least you had a job. But no, I'm 15. My dream was to come home and lay dramatically across my bed and talk about my day or about who I'm crushing on and eating snacks and doing absolutely nothing, not working. It was my calling to just chill and be a teenager. But no, now I'm employed. And then there was my manager. Oh my God. Okay. So this woman stressed me out. Now, in hindsight, as an adult who works in leadership consulting and organizational psychology, I can look back and I realize now the woman was overwhelmed. She was emotionally reactive, probably burned out, and had no business supervising teenagers. But baby 15-year-old me did not know that, right? I'm just a little baby 15-year-old. So all I knew was that this lady is absolutely terrifying. And everything felt so intense. And yes, one day she made me cry. Yes, she did. Little baby Janora, little 15-year-old Janora crying at the bait. And honestly, that was probably my first real lesson in workplace dynamics. Because what I didn't understand back then was workplaces carry emotional energy. Managers have these impacted nervous systems. Leadership affects culture. And emotionally unstable leadership trickles down into everything. So it trickles into communication and confidence and performance and trust, even when people are feeling like safe to show up at work or not feeling safe to show up at work, which in my mind, I was not feeling safe showing up to work. But looking back now, the bait job may have actually been the beginning of me understanding the purple elephant before I even had language for it. Because everybody in that workplace knew she was a head case, just nobody said it. So everybody felt it. And honestly, the experience probably shaped me more than I realized at the time. Now, you're probably wondering, how did the interaction occur that I even began to cry? All right, so picture this in a bank, again, 15, never had a job in my life. This lady is thinking I don't know what she was thinking, but the way that she was treating me was like I was an adult with a 15-year work experience under my belt or something, not some high school kid who was, watching, what were the shows at the time? Just watching Dawson's Creek and oh God, I can't remember that era though, and the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? Like that was the extent of my resume, and gossiping at the lunch table. So she's training me. And she's like, you get this? And I'm like, no, lady, I already told you I don't know how to do math. Okay, first of all, I have completely told you guys I'm bad at math. Without a calculator, no, I'm not going to get it. No, I don't. And so back then, like, they would have you operate off of that teller's box. So I was like using her box and operating out. Now, don't know why. Do not know why. But this lady like left me to take a customer by myself. And I'm like, what are you even doing? So clearly a customer comes, they want a deposit, they want to cash a check. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, here's the amount of money. I didn't even like enter the check in the system. I just took the money out of the drawer. I didn't do the deposit. I don't know. So at the end of the night, she's counting her teller drawer and it's off and everything. And she turns around and screams at me and was like, what did you do? There was a transaction that you messed up. Now my teller box is like a couple $100 short. You don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't even work here. Mind you, yes, that's the whole point. Shouldn't have worked there. Didn't want to work there. She just screamed at me. So at 15, what are you gonna do when you're someone yelling and screaming and stuff? I ran into the back office, crying my eyes out. And everybody else, all the other tellers were very understanding. The branch manager at the time was like, she's a child. Like, at the end of the day, she is not an adult grown woman paying bills. She's a child for an after school job. What are you doing? Why are you yelling at her? She's literally a baby. So suffices to say, I actually did learn how to do the job eventually, and I became really good at it. Type A overachiever. Even then, and I actually did start to enjoy the job. Surprisingly, I enjoyed making my own income. I enjoyed the responsibility. And once I learned how to, count the money correctly and do all the numbers and the math in my head, it was pretty good. And I worked there throughout my entire years of high school until I graduated and went off to college. So, suffice to say, that experience did shape me more than I realized at the time. When I look back on it, because now, like years later, I am sitting inside organizations for a living, and I can immediately feel when a workplace is emotionally off. I can feel when leadership is burned out. I can feel when employees are scared to speak honestly. I can feel when everybody's pretending things are fine, or when the culture is quietly deteriorating under the surface. And what is funny is it all really started with 15-year-old me crying out of date that I never even wanted to work out in the first place. So, and the moral of the story is sometimes your first workplace horror stories becomes the thing that accidentally reveals your life's work. Also, keynote here, if you are currently a manager right now or a supervisor, and you are emotionally terrorizing teenagers working after school, please seek healing immediately. And if you've ever had a workplace story, which I'm sure you have, please put it in the comments because I know I am not the only one. We all have workplace horror stories. And trust me, I have plenty of stories and I can't wait to continue to keep sharing them on this channel.